mom acted very ignorant. She was like, you mean the only human being? I said, no, mommy, there's 180 of us. And she was like, humans, if you cut everybody open at the same blood. So I walked out of that conversation. I couldn't see color. I couldn't see race. I just said humans. And that for me just dumbed it down and I just moved on. Did the part of me, what did you say, piss me off 10 million times? It did. But as a mindset my father raised me with, you understand before you are understood. Now me come another man country. I'm not about to change how you are. But because I chose to move here, I'm going to learn what you're about first. And then hopefully you'll be sensible enough to learn me.
Hey people, welcome back to the Bread and Butter podcast. You're here with myself, Tayo.
And myself, E-Man.
And we're in the building today. Guys, look at the setup already. You already know we have something special for
Come
them.
on.
Look at the positioning. Look at the product placement. In the building, we have Vivian Eni. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh God, I want to thank my mother, my grandmother. No, my name is Vivian.
let us intro you. So we always like to start off with, in fact, before Iman starts going off, how are you doing today?
I'm well. The sun is shining. Can't complain.
The sun is shining. It makes a big difference, right?
It does.
It makes a big difference. Now, Vivian, we always ask people that come on the podcast just to lay the foundation, what their bread and butter is. What is it that they do on the day to day? How do they earn their income? How do they fund their lifestyle, should I say?
Ooh.
So would you let the people know what your bread and butter is?
I will. My bread and butter is recently becoming an author. So
Come
I
on.
just wrote a book.
Big congratulations.
Build a corporate career. Thank you. But the important thing about how to build a corporate career is lessons from a first generation migrant. So it kind of gives you the gist of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Nigeria. My day job, my trade is human resources. I have been in HR space for the last 18 years, if my math serves me right.
Yeah.
So I'm in corporate. I've worked in corporate. I'm also a property investor.
Amazing.
That's also my bread and butter. I'm also a coach. That's also part of my bread and butter. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing.
Come on. So I don't even know I've got so many names. So Vivian, we're gonna call her Vivian or
Yes.
V.
Yes.
V.
I
like V.
It's fine.
Viv.
I like V. Can I call you V?
Yeah, go for it.
So I known V for a long time. I actually found V on on YouTube before I ever spoke to her in real life. I thought
it was Instagram.
No, it was Instagram, and then I went to watch on YouTube. I found the video on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then it was from a YouTube video. I was like, I've got to watch this video. So, and it was all about you. You had this box on your balcony, and you had where you were traveling, and you were like, I have to take my stuff out. Bro, it was just when you meet someone and they're just genuinely being themselves, and it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
And I just thought, who is this entertaining person? So I watched. And then, funny enough, a few weeks later, I went to an event and we met.
Yeah.
That's how things like that are mad, isn't it? It's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I was watching your video for the first time ever 2 days ago, and now you're here.
Yeah.
It's not even like I've been following you for ages, and I finally got to meet you.
Yeah.
I came across it 2 days ago, and then
agree.
today we're at the same event.
I agree.
And then we met, and she was like, Uncle E-Man, I watch it. I'm like, no, I watch your stuff. I saw your video. She's like, no. I was like, yeah, I watched your video.
I'm curious, what was the video, V?
Uncle Iman is, let's not even talk about me. Uncle Iman is that, you see that brother that can cuss you out without cussing you out? I go on my Instagram that I'm paying for my internet, and somebody will be like, so you're going to Dubai on credit card? I'm like, I don't do that now. And so I'm forwarding it to everybody else that I know they do it, but I can't tell them. So I'm like Uncle Iman. So I'll go in my WhatsApp group with my friends and my family. I'm like, did you guys see that video? So everything I want to talk about money, if I can't say it with people, I send Uncle Iman's video and I promote it on my stories. And then when we met, I was like, oh my God, like you've been Uncle Iman in my head, like you live in my house. And the video that he was referring to, I think that was one of my random preparing for travel.
Yes.
I was swapping wardrobes, so I had suitcases. I was just in my element. There was nothing. It was just in my house.
She had so much bags, so much shoes, so much.
I had suitcases everywhere.
Suitcase everywhere. But it was just like, then we met. And this is what I tell people about networking. Like, one thing about V, she's very, very good at networking. She's spectacular at it. So we met at that event. We exchanged details. She's not someone that take your detail without using it. Before I left her presence, I checked my phone. It's nice meeting you today. I was with you.
Yeah.
I've gone to my car.
Have to.
There's message.
Sir, you
You
cannot
have to.
forget me.
You can't.
Have to.
I'm an immigrant. I'm in a village. So if I'm looking for something, I'm like a dog with a bone.
Yeah.
If I meet you and we connect, we're going for it.
Yeah.
So then from there, then I had any event that I did, Viv, she'll be there. Viv will be at my event. Imagine you got my number. She won't tell me that she's going.
Yeah.
I'll meet her at my event. She'll be there. Even if I'm going to somebody else's event to speak, she will be at the event. She'll buy a ticket. No, she never asked me, I want to come to your thing. Can you give me a discount? She'll buy a ticket.
Yeah.
She'll be, V, you're here. When you meet someone so many times, you just become close.
Yeah.
And then so we'll be at these events and then we'll just be talking.
Yeah.
And then from there, she was like, okay, man, I want you to mentor me. I said, well, you're already doing fantastic. No, I want to try and change my career and do this stuff. I need your help. So then we started talking. Then she's like, I'm doing this. And then obviously I released my book. She came to my book launch.
Yep.
All of this.
We read the book in 3 days.
Then she was like, okay, what do you think? I was like, you should write a book. Like, when you spoke, she's told me so many stories. I'm like, you should write a book. You know, one thing about, and this is one thing I think about immigrants in general. You see when someone they respect tells you something, they do it.
Yeah.
Within 2 days, she sent me notes. You know her notes? She sent me her notes. And in the notes was the first chapter. Like she had broken down what she's gonna say, and she'd give me a sample chapter in 2 or 3 days.
Crazy.
She said, Uncle E-Man, I'm on it. In 6 months, this book is here.
Crazy.
You guys cannot blame me. Uncle Iman gave me his time one evening in Canary Wharf. And then he said to me, I don't waste my time. I said, Uncle Iman, I can see that. How will he give me hours of his time and then I can't produce? I don't understand that part.
So I'm seeing something very interesting because it's something that we've spoken about before. And sometimes before, like, you want to pour into someone, you kind of, it's not only about you feeling that you're special, but you also want to know that you're pouring into someone who's going to act on it and someone who's actually going to value that and make sure that that time that you've spent is being used correctly. And all of a sudden, when you know that you're pouring into someone like that, it doesn't feel like an expense to you.
No.
You're even happy to pour into that person. It's a joy. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I think that's a super important lesson for people to know.
Can I just say, guys, every time I think about my book and I do a keynote off the back of my book, Uncle Iman is to blame. He wasn't the first person to say you had a book, but the conviction, he only knows me from the internet. And I'm like, what have you seen? He's like, well, you have it. You've been in HR, you've done this. Can you show our people? I think that's what stood out to me when he said, can you teach our people what you know? And I was like,
she was doing it for free. Don't get me wrong. She had mentored. There are people. So Caleb. No, Caleb. She mentored Caleb.
Oh, sick.
In investment banking in Barclays. She's the one that mentored him.
Oh, seriously?
Even when Caleb said, that's my mentor.
I swear.
And Caleb, you know what he's doing. You know the numbers that he's doing.
Yeah.
And so when I saw some of the people that she had actually developed, I said, you're doing it and you're not even taking money, you're doing it for free.
Yeah.
So that's when, she started doing the coaching. But I'm like, actually, you can't coach everyone and everyone can't afford your time.
That's true.
You got to write the book.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I'm seeing Uncle Eman, they want to fly me to another country to come and deliver a talk to this book. How much shall I charge? I said, imagine the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, crazy.
And now you're on a plane. Crazy. Someone's paying you to go on a plane to go and talk in another country about what it is to be. And I said to myself, this is what you're saying. It doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
I knew that this time I'm spending is value.
Yeah.
And I know that it's valuable. And so even today now, but I'm confident to bring onto the podcast. So I know what she has to give.
Yeah.
It has to be amplified.
Yeah.
And she has to let more people know because there are so many people that are in a position that need what she's delivering.
Yeah.
And so I'm so proud of her. Like sometimes I feel like I could cry, like how proud I am of her because this is not money. When I met her, she was already making money.
Yeah.
This is, I make money, but I don't have fulfillment.
Yeah.
I want to feel fulfilled.
Yes.
And I want to create another lane to now feel fulfillment.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And it's funny because I feel like for our audience, right, they're going to feel like a lot of our episodes preach the same lessons, but it's a good thing. Hopefully it's just reiterated because I'm learning a lot of your story right now, but it's still in line with a lot of the great stories that we've had otherwise, which is that, I mean, you were getting flown out to go and speak on your book, but it didn't start there. You didn't start being a speaker and saying, I want to be flown out immediately. I'm charging this.
Nah.
Like
I
Iman said,
didn't know what to charge.
like Iman said, you're speaking to people for free.
Yeah.
But the problem is sometimes
Yeah.
people start something and they don't understand
Yeah.
that sometimes it might be for free at the beginning.
Yeah.
Whether that's for free for your business or for free for another corporation. Well, in that situation, it's not for free, they're paying you. But some people don't understand that you need to be in a corporation first. And then the second lesson is that a lot of people need to realize that you can be doing great and still need a mentor.
Ooh,
You
110%.
can be doing great and still need a mentor.
Facts.
And being a mentor, getting a mentor is simply just asking. Like I always say to people that asking questions is the stage before getting a mentor, innit?
Yeah.
It's like asking questions from different people. I always tell people asking is a life hack. Why do you want to work it out yourself when there's somebody who already knows?
Yeah.
Leverage
Yeah.
other people's knowledge, leverage the people around you. So super amazed at your story, but I want to take it to the beginning because a huge part of your story is the fact that you weren't born in the UK. were you?
Nope. They're not born me for here. I am so Nigerian. I can't help it.
When did you move over?
2007.
Cool. And
Was you alone or did you move over with family?
No, I was privileged for my dad and my mom to escort me to the abroad. So I'm one of those people that they paid school fees for, they paid rent for, and they say go and study.
okay, cool.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful. How long were you in Nigeria before that? And what was your experience in Nigeria, actually? Sorry.
I come from an entrepreneur background.
Okay.
So growing up, we had petrol stations in different cities.
Oh, nice.
So I know what revenue is like. I know how to make money. And I don't just make money, I make profit, like 200 to 400% profit.
Okay.
So from a very young child, money making was the thing. So even before I moved to the UK, I could have either, because I started going to Dubai to do business at the age of 21.
Oh, wow.
So I could have either carried on, I would have been far richer if I lived in Nigeria though.
Yeah.
I'd have either carried on as a business person because I had the background, I'd already started doing it. But my dad was like, you're smart. You got into university at 14 plus. You get a brain, go to school. You can always do business.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose do a master's degree, build a career, and I can always make money.
I want to tap into that, actually, your time in Nigeria, because I often say to people that, look, Nigeria is the home of the hustlers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you can build a business in Nigeria, you can build a business in other
anywhere.
places. Funny enough as well, I'm just going to go off on a tangent. I believe that that's somewhat true for the UK as well. I wouldn't say the UK is the home of the hustlers, but the UK can be a difficult place to survive. So if you could do well in the UK with all of these restrictions and all this policy and all this tax, quite often it's like a tick box to say that you can go Asia and all these places and do a madness. Anyway, I say that to say your family had like petrol stations. You understood revenue, profits, which is insanely valuable exposure. I can only imagine. Yeah. So what sort of things did you do practically during your time in Nigeria that you feel like you had exposure to and it made me run this business for a period of time or whatever in Nigeria?
So when my mates we went to boarding school. So during holiday, my friends would go back to the city and they would do whatever girls and boys do at that age. We will go back home. And in the morning, 5 a.m., we wake up and go to the petrol station. Me and my brother manned one petrol station. We literally would pump the petrol in the car, count the money, manage the staff. I'm talking age 11. And then my mom would go to refinery. My dad would go to the other petrol station. And then my other siblings would be doing other stuff. That was my holiday year. Yeah. Monday to Sunday. Yeah. That's all I knew. So my work ethics didn't start here. My work ethics was 5 a.m., you just get up. It's just what you do. Yeah. So I went from there into going to university, having my first degree. I started in medicine, finished in microbiology. After my first degree, I was like, what do I do? I have all these petrol stations, I have all this leverage. I know the business. I'd already started going to refinery to gather business for my parents before I was even 20. And then I did my national service in Kaduna. At the time, we lived in Benin. The price of gold in Kaduna north to south is almost double. So on my way back from Kaduna, I'm going to buy gold. And I'm going to sell it to you in Benin. It cost me nothing. I'm still going to travel. I'm still going to come back to my family. Yeah. And so I started making profit from there. Another funny one was, at petrol stations, they have what you call the mini mart, like the small supermarkets. Yeah. All the shops are just lying there. And I know that even my mother that owns petrol station, she has a shop that is selling Coke and Fanta and making money on top of the petrol business. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just going to take one of the shops. What does it cost me? I'm here every day anyway. Yeah. And so I got a girl to man it. And then I remember I used 5,000 naira to buy biscuits and stuff. And that doubled to 100,000 in 4 weeks. And I was like, huh? Hello? That's a no-brainer. And so I did that. I sold gold, and then I started traveling to Dubai. When I went to Dubai for the first time, my parents didn't know. It was my first trip abroad.
Wow.
I literally called my mom and I said, Mommy, where are you? She said, is Daddy there? She said, yes. I said, if you scream, I will deny you. She was like, what happened? I said, I'm going to Dubai. I'll come back in 3 days. I was 21. And I went to Dubai because I met Iman. I met this girl that said, anybody can go to Dubai. And I was like, you don't need $1 million. She was like, no, you only need 250K. I had 400K. So I went to Dubai. I brought things back. I sold them for 400% profit.
When you say 400,000 naira or
400% profit. You buy something for X dirham and come and sell it in Nigeria. Because Nigeria people like anything that comes from abroad.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Naturally.
So I'm just used to not just turning money over for the sake of money, but I can see the gap in profits. And so from my 250K, in 3 or so trips, I had made $1 million naira. And I was still under 23 in my parents' house.
It's crazy.
And so I had to come and do a master's degree, which felt like poverty to me because I moved from there to come and be entry boss.
Yeah. It's crazy. So many things to unpack there. I'm gonna hijack this a little bit, Iman, as well. So I want to say that something that Iman and I have spoken about before. Sometimes, right, when you're not exposed to what opportunities lie in front of you, you won't see that there's an opportunity there, and because of your upbringing, you understood that, hold on, there's a gap in the market when it comes to the gold from north to south. A lot of people just wouldn't see it because you're not privy to understanding those business opportunities. So that just goes to show how important your environment is.
100%.
The second thing is what me and Iman teach a lot as well, which is sometimes when you want to do business, you've got to kind of align it to your passions or what you're already doing. And you did that with the transport from the north to the south and with the mini-mart. I'm here already. Do you know what I'm trying to say? My base is already here. I was coming here anyway. So if I have to set up a shop here, I'm not going to one far place or whatever. But the third thing I wanted to touch on, I wanted you to give some insights on it. You grew up in a family that was doing well in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
And you still got that hustle. How is that possible? Because there's a lot of people in our community are doing well today. I'm right, innit?
Yeah.
And they're wondering how do I raise my child so that they're not struggling? Because there's no need to struggle if you've got the funds, so they don't struggle. But they still have that hustle. They still know the value of a pound, a naira, a dollar, a dirham. They still are willing to wake up at 5 a.m. Think about that. Think about it, it's deep. Think about it, a lot of people, if your parents rich, they'll be thinking, why am I waking up at 5 a.m. then?
Trust me.
So how is it, what is the balance? How is that done?
I'll give that to my father. Okay. And my siblings, we still have that attitude to today. Even though, background, my dad was in the police. He was quite high up. So I had siren cars take me to nursery school. That was the kind of privilege. Nursery, you would hear the sound and then it would be this little girl that came out with her siblings and a backpack. That was the privilege I went to school with. Can
I give some people insights for our non-Nigerian listeners, right?
Yeah.
So you had a police escort to school.
Yes.
Can I just ask you one question? Well, were you in any danger on that journey to school?
No, it was just the regular way to go. You just had escorts because
it's just because
they're there. So that was my upbringing. But I credit to your question, I credit it to my father. My father always said to us, you're not rich. I am.
That's so funny.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it felt like we're living on borrowed time.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? I remember, because when my dad retired from the police force, we didn't first go to the city. We went to his village. So there was a lot of humbling moments where I couldn't really be raising my shoulder up. And then even in those villages, we always had motorcade of cars. And so if you were frowning, my dad would literally tell the driver to slow down because there's a child carrying sticks on his head, walking for miles in the sun. And my dad would be like, do you want to swap? I can take them home and you can walk home. And you'd be like, no, daddy, thank you very much. I'm very privileged. Immediately, all those privilege leaves you. So because my dad always said we were not rich, I felt like I needed to build my own. That's one.
Yeah.
And secondly, just brought me down to earth. And Nigerian family, we have this house help.
Yeah.
My father always said, house help is not a title from heaven. It's just a job role. Anybody can be a house girl. So there's always that bringing it back to earth to say, it could be you.
Yeah.
And he would always remind us that if he didn't have the ethics that he has, we will probably not be here, and so we'll not have the privilege. So that woke you up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because if we don't all make the business work, we will have no business.
Yeah.
So I never at any point in my life really sat down and said, because I come from privilege, it's not, the joke is, it's now living in the UK, I'm realizing I come from privilege.
Yeah, no,
I didn't quite know that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I just knew it was a way of life. But now living here and thinking, every time I recount my upbringing, I'm like, I actually come from privilege.
Yeah.
But it didn't click when I was living it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So, talk to us about the journey. So you finished your studying.
Yeah.
You said biology, science. You meant to be doctor. How did we end up in HR?
So I was meant to be a doctor because I was the smart kid, what you call a genius kid. I got into university at 14 plus. I had double
By the way,
promotion.
every Nigerian is a genius kid. They be studying what we are learning at 16. They're learning at 10.
12.
So don't every Nigerian that comes here.
It's
They
a smart child. Honestly, we're just like that good. But I think I'm just blessed because I didn't even read to study exams.
Wow.
I have a photographic memory, which I did not know it was a thing until I watched Suits.
Yes.
Yeah, because that guy he just pictured
Yeah,
something and went
I
to
can
write
see-
an exam. So
yeah.
that was me. So if you were my friend, you played and you failed. I played and I passed. So you hated me.
Yeah.
So because of that, my dad saw that I had a good trajectory because of all the double promotion. And he was like, go and study medicine. He needed a doctor in the family. I didn't like it. Medicine is studious.
Yeah.
When it comes to studying, I'm lazy. I don't see the point of being in front of a textbook for a long time.
Yeah.
So doing medicine, by the second year, I was like, Daddy, can we do microbiology, please? And the university at the time had some issues with accreditation beyond certain level. So that was my excuse to go and finish in microbiology. When I finished, I told my dad I'd forgotten for where the guy took me to a private school to go and do medicine. I was like, who does that? And then I said, okay, I'll do a master's. So he said, okay, so you do a master's and a PhD. Daddy, I love you, but guy, even your own self plenty. So that's how we started. So I finished my master's. I finished my first degree in microbiology. I started to find where to do my master's, bearing in mind I was already an entrepreneur. But my parents were like, do you want to do business? Do you want to study? Go and study. We can afford it. Go and study. This is one of the reasons why I wrote my book. And it's in my book as well. Because when I decided to switch from microbiology to human resources, I only picked HR because I said, if I'm going to work, I'm going to have to pick something that is industry agnostic so I can work in any industry and I'll always have a job.
Okay.
So the start of my book says start with your why. I always ask people why. It can be the flimsiest. We're talking 19 years ago. I wouldn't know that I would be here today, but I had a vision that whatever I do, I need to get to the top of it. I need to enjoy it. It needs to give me the lifestyle. And if I'm going to move to another country, I need to guarantee myself a job.
Yeah.
So that's how I chose HR. How did I transition? Funny story. When I was doing national service, your NYSC that you do after you graduate in Nigeria, so they throw you to go and serve the country.
Yeah.
Out of boredom, people were doing certificate in management, certificate in administration. You go for a 4-week lecture and then you write an exam. And I did that. So when I was ready to apply for my master's degree in HR, that was my transition statement. I said to De Montfort University in Leicester, I'm very smart. These are my grades. This is my first degree. However, just to try something else, I did these 2 certifications and I passed. Which means if you give me a master's degree opportunity, I think I can do HR.
Yeah.
And that's how they gave me HR. But I also had 2 admissions. I had HR and I had biotechnology. My father, bless him, paid the fees. He didn't check what he was paying for. He wouldn't have paid for HR. No way my father would pay for HR. Because he said, you've already been managing people. So why?
Yeah.
So he paid for it, excited that I got the degree. Didn't know it was HR. So I put the biotechnology. I said to God, though, there's a God factor here. I said, God, anyone that comes first, I'm a go. So he paid, and then I came to study. He was still thinking it was biotechnology with a hope to do a PhD. And then 3 months later, you know where you lie and you forget. My father calls me trying to transfer money to me, and he says, so the bank manager is asking, what are you studying again? And I said, human resources and international business. He was like, huh? Human what?
Try.
It was the bank manager that saved me. The guy said, oh, HR is the next big thing. The guy made it sound like investment banking. The guy was revving.
Yeah.
So my father said, okay, send me the money. The guy went to the back and called me and said, why did you lie? Uncle Solomon, God bless you. I said, what was I supposed to do? I forgot that I lied. And that's how the HR started.
It's amazing.
That story somehow is similar to Davido's story when his dad didn't know that he was sneaking off to go and make music. You two were sneaking off to do HR.
I was sneaking, and he followed me to the abroad, not knowing he was HR. Bless him, parents. Daddy, you know I love you.
But I got a question about HR because
Yeah.
one thing I've seen, there's a lot of black women in HR. Is that coincidence, or is HR a safe space for black women?
Is there a lot of black women in HR?
When I see a lot of black women that are doing really well and really successful and earning six figures, a lot of them are in HR.
I'd agree with that.
Okay. Interesting. Is it a safe space for... I think HR is predominantly a female profession for a number of reasons. Empathy is basic. Understanding, for me, HR is not because you like people. HR is because you want to help the business make the best of its people so it can make money. It's not because you like people.
It's good to hear it from that perspective as well, because I've kind of felt that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people like HR's not on your team. It's here to create a framework.
Yeah.
But it's not actually on your team as an employee.
HR is a referee.
Yeah.
It's not for the business. It's not for the people. It's here to help you, the business, who has a goal to deliver something to make money, get the best out of the people you need to make the money.
Yeah.
So you need to understand, how does the business make money? How does he get the best out of his people? So I feel like with those two come together, it explains why it attracts a lot of women, because there's nurturing to it. There's a lot of listening. I don't know about the black women part, because when I started, I was the only person I knew. And one other girl.
Yeah, I think
I know anyone.
I think that I completely agree with what Iman's saying. I think there's so it's not like nursing. Nursing is like volume. But I think what Iman's saying is that you'll find that a lot of black women that are doing like...
Well, in the corporate, go to HR.
Not to say that you're going to a company and there's a lot of black women in HR, but dotted around. Do you get what I'm trying to, is what I'm saying?
I mean,
making sense?
we've had
Like if you bring 100 black women that are making
you
over
ask-
six
yeah,
figures,
when you ask
a
them
lot
their
of them
profession,
would
it's
be in
HR,
HR.
HR,
basically.
yes,
So
exactly.
that's what we're saying.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
True.
Yeah.
Because beside HR, there's DEI, you've had Hannah on
Yes,
you
exactly.
had Tolu, so
Yeah.
there's all these other elements. Yes, you are right. A lot of black women in corporate would do HR. I don't know why though, but I know that why I got into it was I just wanted a profession that had people in every industry. And because you always have people in every industry, I will always have a job.
But do
That's
you
a good
feel?
rationale, by the way.
But yeah, that's a great rationale. But and I'm the same with finance. One of the things that I love about my job as a financial advisor is that when money's bad, they need your financial advisor.
Yeah.
When people have money, they
They
need a
need
financial. It doesn't matter what's going on in the climate. You're
They
always
need you.
you're always in need.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as me. So when I wanted to pick a career, I didn't do it in the end, but I wanted to go into accounting for exactly the same reason.
Yeah, always need
Go
accountant.
Always need an
Yeah.
accountant.
work in football,
Yeah.
go work in this. Everybody nobody wants to do their accounting. They
Yeah.
need someone else to come in and do it.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
these rationales basically.
I agree.
But do you feel like with I'm just wondering with HR, is there something about HR or in that allows us to especially black women, but as black people have a place where we can be senior because of how because there are a lot of other senior roles where there might be office politics that might stop you getting there. Obviously, there might be office politics that might stop you getting there, but even in HR, but because HR is there to be fair and to be, is there more? They have to play by the right rules. They have to do the right thing, and so that's why you're more likely to get the opportunity to earn at that higher level in HR.
I think you can progress as a woman because it's a predominantly female-led profession. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the more you work, the more you learn, the more you grow, you end up at the top.
Yeah.
That makes
Because
sense.
if you look at investment banking, there are women, there are black women, but how many are there?
Exactly.
But then if you come to HR, there's a lot of women, and then black women are coming to there. And I think it's because the foundation of HR is administration. And that's like a skill that most people have. Do you see what I mean? And it cuts across. I mean, another good one is customer service.
Yeah.
So anyone who has those backgrounds would naturally, and I hear a lot of women, black women or non-black women saying, I want to work in HR because I want to help people. So if there is that people element, again, I say that's not the reason why you should work in HR, but if that people element, then yes, it's women. And because it's predominantly female-led,
Yeah.
you would see black women who are doing well in corporate lead in HR, yes.
So what was your journey like as an immigrant, because I always say, people say, number one, obviously you stand out from how you look, right? You are a woman, number one, but then you're a black woman, number two. Then I always say, when I speak to my friends that are Nigerian, they're like, I never knew I had an accent till I came to London.
Not just Nigerians, I've heard the Kenyans say that too.
I never knew I had an accent because no people. What are you saying? They can't understand what you're saying. You can't. And then
Pardon me?
Then obviously the culture wise, joke wise, you know how they tell their jokes. How do you understand it? How do you assimilate when there's so much differences, and especially here they always pointing at the fact that you're different.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard, and I come from privilege. It was hard.
Can you imagine?
It's even harder. Baby.
Imagine
you could even argue that it's
being
harder.
driven from nursery.
Yeah.
And now these
flew
people.
British Airways good seats, and it was hard. Imagine if you use Air Afrique with community gathered to pay your fare. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of things that would intimidate a lot of people, I don't even see it. But it was hard. It was hard because I come from entrepreneurship background. Working in an office was not an experience I had. So that one, regardless of the country, you're going to struggle. I mean, I didn't know, in my days when I started, there was fax machine. I never seen them before. I won't take up free time now. I had this friend. So the premise of my book is a HR Bible. We had this Bible where everything we learned, we wrote it on it. And because we were both trying to get into HR, building our career in HR, we used to call it our Bible. I would run to the toilet and say, please, how do I use the photocopier? You don't use them yesterday. She will explain it to me. Google was not as. I mean, if there was Copilot and ChatGPT today, I'm going to be smart. So it was hard from a cultural perspective. I don't drink alcohol. Everybody goes to the pub. Wait till you see me, I drink now. But I had to quickly start building the alternative of those things. Because I already had the lifestyle where I was coming from. And I was like, if I lived in Nigeria, I would do this. So I learned, for the pub question, I learned the non-alcoholic mocktails straight away. I gave it to one of my employers, one of the big fours. We went partying every evening after work. And I'm not going to be standing there drinking water or Coke. So I needed my drink to look like your drink so we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
So that's where I went to
the little things. Hey, listen.
That's
say
a gem.
that one again. That's a gem.
I needed my drink to look like your drink so we're on the same level. Because that's where prejudice comes in.
It is.
You drinking water and Coke?
And you need to understand the culture of the country that you're in as well. I don't know, let me just say, Germany, they like beers and stuff like that. They've got their own vibe. One thing about British culture is that if you're not drinking, they're gonna ask you why you're not drinking. I need to investigate it. Why aren't you drinking? They're even going to tell someone, hey man, you know Vila wasn't drinking. She didn't drink yesterday either. She's not even pregnant or nothing.
She's not coming back to our outing next time. She's not coming back. And I didn't even need to explain to you that my own didn't have alcohol. You were shy high. I was still laughing because I'm easily high on sugar anyway. So we experienced the same high. My own is just not falling off the chair. So I had to start experiencing the things from their eyes to be able to enjoy it so that I can stay in the country and build my career. Because your career is not built at your desk. It's built in the pubs. I say to people, see, once you get on the summer barbecue list, you're good.
Yeah. They start shifting their promotion order at the pub. It's not done in the office, it's done at the pub.
That's when you hear the person that was supposed to be promoted, and so there's a loophole, and then see,
things are crazy out there.
People are biased. I mean, I'm HR, so we built systems to help this bias not happen. But humans, at the crux of it, are still biased.
100%.
So I had to build friendships, and I'm that one person who brings themselves to work within reason. But as one of my values is enjoyment, I have to enjoy everything I'm doing. If not, I know what to do. Again, I come from privilege. So it's not really like, I mean, I couldn't say that after my dad died. But it's not really like if I went back to Nigeria, I didn't have a life. But after my dad died, there was no life. I had to stay here.
Yeah.
But before then, it was more like, what was the culture? One of the struggles, again, was I didn't see people who looked like me. I remember, I think it's in my book, I remember going to a conference. There was 180 HR professionals. There were male and female, good balance, but I was the only black.
In 180?
In a whole hall of conference. And we're going to do a nationwide project. So that was the briefing.
180?
And I was the only black. Do you know how daunting that is? You know how many times I run go toilet, go piss? Because I'm like, if this was to catch the only black person I kill her, I'd take me. So I remember going to the bathroom and call my mom. And I was like, Mommy, my mother didn't understand it because my father named me Vivian after his French colleague. So I don't understand racial segregation. It's just something I wasn't brought up with. So my mom acted very ignorant. She was like, you mean the only human being? I said, no, Mommy, there's 180 of us. And she was like, humans, if you cut everybody open, are the same blood. So I walked out of that conversation. I couldn't see color. I couldn't see race. I just said humans. And that for me just dumbed it down and I just moved on. Did pardon me, what did you say? Pissed me off 10 million times? It did. But as a mindset my father raised me with, you understand before you are understood. Now me come another man country. I'm not about to change how you are. But because I chose to move here, I'm going to learn what you're about first. And then hopefully you'll be sensible enough to learn me.
Sorry, please say that again. That one's proper.
You have to. I don't appreciate the chip on your shoulder when you're an immigrant. Do you know why? You had a country. Stay there. Everybody looks like you. But when you move to a different environment, everybody in Britain should adjust to you. We didn't notice you came. We didn't ask you to. We gave you a visa. You had a choice. So that's how my dad raised us. He raised us to say, if you're going for something new, you will bring yourself humbly to learn. When you get it, for the most part, humans are kind. They will reciprocate. So I didn't have that thing of, why do you say my beans is smelling in the canteen? I simply brought rice and stew. Because it made the conversation easier. I did a lot of things for people to be comfortable. That was not me dumbing myself. Because when you grow to a certain space, if you have clapping hand, I'm on podcast, I have a book. Are you going to tell me not to eat beans and plantain? You're joking.
That's what I was going to say. When you were understood, when you understood them, and they were understanding you, did you then bring your beans?
Oh, yes. I brought a carabot puff. We talked about my childhood stories, but I wasn't going to impose it on them because that's what they knew. And then it took years for me to comfortably say, you know those child programs you guys are always joking about? Did you know I don't know it because I wasn't born here? So it then got to a point that people would then say, for the sake of Vivian, like Vivian doesn't know what you're talking about. It was no longer a joke that made me uncomfortable. It was now inclusive. Because I didn't come in and lord it over them to say, you are being racist. Uncle, they don't know you. So that's where I was coming from. So was it hard? Yes, I had to bend over backwards. But for me, it was, let me understand you because I chose to move locations and hopefully you would reciprocate. But I also knew that when you got to a point, you have enough experience, you're senior enough, people are going to ask you what you're about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was hard. It was hard. And for a part of my early careers, I was a contractor. So I was moving jobs within 6 to 9 months. You're not about to start learning me. I came to serve. I literally, no. I literally was going to say that. Contractors, sometimes even, you could be fully British. Contractors, sometimes they won't even learn your name, bro. Some jobs I worked as a contractor, I experienced it, but sometimes I was permanent. And they put the contractors around the corner. We wouldn't even really cross paths with them. Yeah. Contracts in the UK is kind of bad. Guns for hire. That's what I call it. You're just there to do your thing. Get out. Come on, move, man. Yeah.
But I got a question on that though.
Yes.
I've found for a lot of us to progress and earn the money that we need to earn, we have to contract.
Yes.
What's your thoughts about that?
To get up, get out. To get up in rank, in money, get out.
Yes.
Internal promotion. Have you seen the percentage?
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah.
1%.
Leave job.
No. You stay in a job for long for other reasons. You don't stay in to get growth. I mean, people get promoted. In my current employer, I've been promoted 2 or 3 times. I can't remember now. Yes, that's the anomaly in my 18-year career. Because for all my other jobs, all my other progresses, all my other experiences, I went out. You're not getting good pay rise. Nobody's going to give you 40, 30K pay rises.
No.
Internally.
It doesn't make no sense.
Nobody's going to give you what you haven't really done before to give you experience like that.
Yeah.
But as a contractor, you be blagging your way and you learn it. We're smart people. 3 months later, you can do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah. Would you almost say that it's partly because what we mentioned as well? So it's like guns for hire, basically. So they're not giving you no benefits, no nothing. But because you're willing to do the work and got the skills, then they're just going to hire you on that basis, and they're not really looking at anything else. They're not looking at culture fit or any of these things. They're solely looking at
You're
capability.
filling in the blank, sir.
Yeah.
But also the office politics, the all of that doesn't apply to you.
It doesn't apply.
We've got this other outing, or it's this person's birthday, and you don't. When you're a
included.
contractor,
You're not included in that.
It's nothing to do with you.
Because your email address is temporary.
Yes.
Facts.
Even the 12-week contractor regulation that says we need to treat you as a permanent staff after 12 weeks and all of that, you have a choice. You don't have to.
Yeah. They fully don't.
Because your best friends are the recruiters who's going to get you the next job, not the internal politics, because you're not staying anyway.
Yeah. Can you tell us about you did your studies. Tell us about your first job in HR. What was that like? What was the pay like? For those the people that are thinking that, what can it actually look like?
My first job, 2008 in HR, was HR administration. Funny story. Again, Uncle Iman said I'm a good networker, right?
Yeah.
Thank God for that. I was sharing flyers in front of Morrison Supermarket with this lovely girl who liked my personality and said, would you like a job? I say, I have a master's in HR. Any job that puts me sitting down, I would do it.
With a seat
She
straight.
tells her boss, and the boss tells me to go to this agency. I do an interview, and it was QA for a company that does statements for one of the banks. So we're doing QA. But the moment I went into that queue in that whole big shop floor, everybody that said hello, I told them I had a master's and I wanted to get into HR. 3 months down the line, the job comes up, opening comes up upstairs. I'm a temp. I won't see it. Everybody comes to tell me, Viv, have you seen the vacancy? Viv, have you seen the vacancy? My boss says to me, we need a friend upstairs. I go for the interview and I get the job.
Wow.
That's how I
Importance
got
of
it.
telling people what you do, boy.
And what you want, what you need, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
People are not mind readers.
Yeah.
So I told everybody, and because I was temp, that job could have gone.
You know what's magic is that I know you're human, not mind readers. The amount of people that are angry that there was a job, no one told me,
No one told-
and you acted like we were friends.
No one said nothing.
And these times
No one said nothing.
you never, you the one that want the job, you never
said
said nothing. But you're angry. You know
No
you're
one said
angry.
nothing.
And they try like we're friends. I'm even in the WhatsApp group. No one said.
When I met her 1.5 years ago, the first thing I told her is that I wanted a job in QA. A year and a half later, the job came out. She didn't think of me. So like, we think everybody's thinking about us all the time.
Like
All the
people
time,
have their
every
own
single day.
problem on their head.
Bruv.
Yeah, so you've got to tell people because you don't know who knows who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in. And what was my pay? Jesus. I mean, I lived in Leicester. And see, I was happy for my parents to cover my rent as far as I got into this HR thing. I was getting into it.
Yeah.
It must have been 14 grand or 12 grand, something like that.
We're getting paid more at the petrol station.
By far.
I was a millionaire in Naira, excuse you.
I just wanted to clear it up for people, innit? I wanted to clear it up for people.
12 or 14 grand. It was so really basic. But for me, it would cover my rent. I could be sitting down and working. And now I have a master's degree in HR. Because for me, to make it in HR, because I could have been doing business.
Yeah.
And I could have been in money.
Yeah.
So I now chose this career. Guy, we got to do this thing.
Can I? Yeah, I want to dig deeper on that because a lot of people say that like, there's money back home and you're making money back home. So how do you persevere when you know that you've come from money as well and you're handing out leaflets outside Morrison? Is it a thing whereby you're driven on the target that you want to get, or you have foresight, or you know there's a bigger plan? Like how what's the feelings at the time?
I think the feeling for me was whatever I set my hand to do, I've got to get to the top of it. So I had a choice. It wasn't by force. Nobody forced me to come here. And because I decided to drop my entrepreneurial route, we've got to make good of this thing called HR.
Yeah.
So for me, it's by crook or by hook, we're getting in. Let's just get in and then we'll figure it out. I knew I didn't know it all. I knew I had loads to learn, culture, legislation, and all of that good stuff, and even being a good administrator. But I was ready to do it. So that was, for me, the goal. And when I set my foot into HR, I was like, what is the top HR director? We're getting there.
Yeah.
However you see it, we'll get there.
So that's the thing now. So
Yeah.
like someone's at home now, they've seen you, they're inspired, and they're like, okay, I want to be like Viv. I want to work in HR. What's the journey? How do they start? What should they be expecting? Like, how do they know that? What salary should they accept? What job should they accept if they like to? And then what can they then rise to? And how much time should they give it before they expect to be earning XYZ?
HR as a career, especially at the beginning, doesn't pay a lot. So if money is your driver, this is not the job for you. Go to investment banking. In fact, be a content creator. You might be richer quicker. If you need a career that will ground you, then HR is probably it. I didn't start making the money for the lifestyle until 10 years later into my career. So it's very slow burn. I wanted it because I wanted to work in different industries. I wanted to have a career. There's a difference between a job and a career.
Absolutely.
If you want a job that pays the bills, please don't do HR. But if you want to get into HR, there's so many routes. First of all, if you're not a migrant who needs to do a master's to come to the abroad, please don't get a degree to do HR. Do whatever you're doing, get experience. Just get as much apprenticeship in any type of job, because your first job into HR will be the administration. So if you have customer service, even if you worked in a cinema as a young teenager, that's good customer service. Even if you worked in a nail shop and you helped them do booking, that's good administration. Even if you worked in an off license where you help them take stock, that's good administration. What we want to see when you're coming into HR at the beginning is solid administration and care for the people, because your customers, your clients are the people that work for the organization. Do you see what I mean? They're not outside facing people, they're internal facing people. So you have to really care about these people, because you hold their employment in your hand.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So if you come in as an administrator, you probably need a couple of years to be solid. My journey, I did HR administrator, I did HR advisor from there. Some of these job titles have now gone, because now people just start HR. Before you know, they're a business partner.
HR business partner.
Honestly, business partner in my time took you at least 10, 12 years. But now people just started 2 years later, they're like, I'm a business partner. I'm like, what happened to all the space in between? So now I can't even tell you the structure because it doesn't apply.
Yeah.
But there was HR administrator, there was officer, there was advisor, and then there was business partner, and then there was senior business partner, and then there was director. Or HR manager, somewhere in between. So there's all those stages, but depending on the industry. If you are in, again, I keep coming back to investment banking because we know that that's one industry that pays a lot, you probably will go further up quicker in the money bit. But I will also give you a trick. Go for the smaller organizations. They pay more. Go for, if you're in technology, go for the scale-ups. They pay more.
So not startups, scale ups.
Scale up, yeah. Startups, they might not have a job tomorrow. Scale up. They kind of have Series B and all of that money somewhere. Or the ones that have just gone past scale up. You know why? They'll give you any title you want as long as you have an experience.
Then you can take that one and go somewhere else after.
Yes. Yes.
They'll give you director.
As a HR person, I don't respect your title. I'm really sorry. I want to hear what you do. And then I'll put you where I put you.
Yeah.
We know it in the profession. The beauty of those smaller organizations is that your title is anything that they want to pitch your salary on. But it gives you, I call it HR++. You do everything from security guard to admin to employment law to the door opener to sitting with the director or the owner of the business to whatever. So you do everything. And it's a good exposure. Whereas the bigger the organization is, the more structure. So there's only so much.
You get access
Small
to.
parameters that you're doing.
And in the Gen Zs that are coming up into HR now, they don't got patience to be doing structure. So just go for those smaller organizations because they give you the flexibility, they give you the experience.
Yeah.
In fact, if you can afford it, in case money they can't pay you sometimes, go for a startup. Because you do everything. You help them set up system today. Tomorrow, you're helping them do the admin. Next tomorrow, you're helping them do marketing. Before you know it, in 5 years, you have the experience that I probably took 15 years to get.
Do you know what I love in you've said so many good things, but one of the things that I love the most for me that you've said today is that you've literally dropped game and you've shown people that if you don't have a degree and you're working a retail job that might not be paying that much, you can forge a career in HR.
Absolutely.
So long as you've got the dedication, the patience and consistency.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because there's so many people out there that are just looking for a break, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know exactly what they want to get into. And you said that, do you know what? If you're willing to commit to this for like 10 years, you can start today, work your way up and end up on very good money down the line.
Eventually, it pays up. That's what I say to people. Once you have the experience, anybody can hire me now. Do you know what it means to be 18 years doing the same profession? Please, what's new?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas 5 years in, I was like, 10 years in, 18 years in, bring the job, let's do it. Just call it any title.
Yeah.
No, I don't. If you give me title, if you pay me the money I need and you call me HR administrator, do you know I'll take it? Who cares? I don't care about. I'm just a HR professional, HR leader, whatever you want to call it in the context. But yes, if you want to build a career, HR is that one opportunity that you don't need a degree for. You don't. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
My master's was just to demonstrate to the United Kingdom that I have a brain cell.
Yes, I get you.
And it was my immigrant route.
Let's talk about the property. How did you get into that? Was that alongside?
Yeah, so I got into property because everybody was buying a house. And it just felt like a natural thing to do. So that was one. And I got into it also because I'm quite risk averse. I hope that's the right word. I don't take a lot of risk. And I felt like longevity. Again, you would notice that I'm not greedy. I don't want to make money quick. I don't believe in quick money. So I believe in long-term money.
Yeah.
And also my parents had properties
Yeah.
in Nigeria. That's how I got in. But to boycott property in this country is a totally different ballgame.
Very different.
It's not that you have the money and to buy it. It's the process of the buying it and the maintaining it.
Yeah.
And then you have tenants. God bless you. So, yeah.
So what is it that you do now then? Because what is your where is your journey brought you to in what you do today? Because obviously you're an author, a property investor, but in the HR space, are you fully employed all the time? Is there an element of self-employed? Is there a business element to it? What does it look like now?
So I still have a full-time job, which shocks a lot of people. I'm fully employed. My job title is Senior HR Business Partner. I work within tech. I've been with the same company 7 years in April.
Oh, nice.
I still have a coaching business. I coach in as part of my job. I coach in work and I have a coaching practice outside. So I take only a few handful of people because of time
And capacity.
outside of work.
What do you coach?
I coach leaders to have impact.
Amazing.
And leaders does not just mean CEO, white or black male. Leader could be a mother. It could be anybody. As long as you have a vision that's bigger than you, I can coach you.
Okay.
Because if I help you become self-aware, you can do great things.
Yeah.
So I have a coaching practice. Like I said, I'm a property investor, but I still have a full-time job that Monday to Friday, that's my focus. Everything else comes after that.
And what does work say about having a book? You got a big personal brand with your industry. You're going other countries to give talks and so forth. You coach inside work. You coach outside work. What's their feeling? Has it been a benefit building your kind of personal brand outside of work?
It's been a benefit, but there's a fine line of conflict of interest. So you have to keep checking that you're not bridging that line. Again, I'm HR, so I should know better. But I was quite fortunate from a work perspective when my book released, because I didn't even mention it at work until it was ready to publish.
Yeah.
But the reception was huge. My international book signing was mostly driven by my colleagues.
Wow.
My first book signing was not in the UK, and my colleagues pushed it and they attended in their numbers. So work has been supportive. I even had a book reading in work.
Wow.
When my book published. So I think it's the rare occasion where it's worked. For the most part, you have to be careful of conflict of interest. Try and make sure that you are not doing personal stuff in work time, because if we want to catch you out, we will catch you out. I say to people, we're HR. If we want to build a story to exit you, we go find the story. So just...
Hey, the banking lot must love you
Hey.
guys. You know what they say, managed out of the business? They love that one. Managed out of the business. Gradually just, don't even push you, just resting their hand on your back. This way, please.
No, we'll find the story. See, if they want to find the story, we'll go find the story. So just make sure, like, even with my whole book thing, I had to hire a whole team because I'm not good at everything. I like to play to my strengths.
Yeah.
And I have to manage my time between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. and between 6:30 and 9 p.m. And then I'll sleep the rest. So
Yeah.
for me, it's getting people to do things for me. So when people are seeing my personal brand blow up and they're like, Viv, how are you doing it? I'm like, I'm not doing it because me and you the office. We did work. Did you see me touch my phone?
Yeah.
There's a whole team. There's a whole system.
Amazing.
And that's what I did when I founded Incredible Everyday Woman Community. I did the same thing. When I published my book, I did the same thing because personally, my brain will explode if I try to do my personal thing and work thing.
Yeah.
I'm not that savvy. I can't do it personally. So I have to separate the two. So again, investment and money and time is that other people who are good at it will take it off me and I just show up. And when I do my talks, for instance, I would take a holiday. I would take the day off. And I always have to manage it that I'm not taking the day off to go and do a talk today and tomorrow I'm calling in sick. Even if I was sick, I cannot be sick. I remember having a conversation last year with someone. I was like, I'm feeling so tired, but I cannot be sick. And they were like, why? I was like, because I've done this talk. I've taken too much of my own time to do my own stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fair on my employer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be sick when I'm sleeping at night. But the next day, best believe I will show up. Because you think about it. This is how I think about things. If I am your employer, will I be happy with you? Because yes, but my personal brand blowing up is also helping my employer's brand, because people who didn't know them know about them. However, my job must not drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're still paying me a full-time salary.
Yeah. So once they get any inclination that it's impacting your
It's just not
day-to-day,
fair on them.
And even it's just what's the word I'm looking for? Perception as well. It's kind of like, yeah, fair enough. You could have gone to Geneva to do a talk 2 weeks ago. But you're sick today, and it's kind of like you weren't sick when it was time to. It just doesn't look good, basically. So it's true. You kind of have to make it up on that side.
Just think about the employer as you.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And I mean, if you're sick and you're dying, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're sick, come on.
It's like you know when they always tell the story that this guy owes you 10K and you see him going to
Go on holiday.
he might not be spending 10K, but even if he's spending 100
£200,
frequently, it's kind of like, bro, perception, like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Some of my money.
Perception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So-
definitely.
Yeah, so for me, it's the fine balance. You
Yeah.
have to find the balance, because if it was you, how would you respond?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're wrapping up, but before we do, talk to us about your book. Tell us some things that people can learn from it, things people can find in it, why people should get it, where they can find it, all of that.
So, my book is How to Build a Corporate Career, but Lessons from a First Generation Migrant. It's available on Amazon globally. So wherever you're listening or watching from, you can actually get it on Amazon. Just type Vivian Eni. Mama, I've made it.
Yeah,
Come
just Google me.
Come on.
Google me.
So type it on Amazon and you will get it. What does this book entail? It tells you about my journey. It tells you, I'm a storyteller, so I love telling stories. It tells you about my stories, different stories. You would see when I dabbled into modeling and my father thought it was prostitution and I was going to sue the company. It's in the book. It tells you my why, like you said, my rationale for choosing HR, but I'm also a coach. So at the end of each chapter, I tell the reader to put the book down because I ask you a list of questions so you can create your own story.
Yeah. Love that.
I don't want everybody to turn out at the end of this book becoming Vivians because it's not sustainable. But if you're Tayo and you're Iman, then it's sustainable because it's tailored to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The back of the book as well, I interview other professionals because I feel like I've told you my journey. I've given you tips on how to prepare your CV, your interview, what the employer is looking for, what kind of money questions should be you asking for, what is your total package and all of that until you arrive at the job. But I'm also conscious that even with asking you questions at the end of each chapters, there might still be a gap. So I ask other professionals who are migrants to tell their story.
Amazing.
So they tell their real life journeys they tell you their aspiration at the beginning, and then they tell you the journey of how they got to where they are and whether things change or whether they hit it.
Yeah.
So if my journey doesn't inspire you, the questions will give you opportunity to write your own journey, or the other people's story will tell you what you need to be doing.
Amazing.
So that's why you should get the book. You should really get it because this is a book I wish I had 20 years ago.
Just Google her.
Come on.
Vivian Eni. Now, we always ask people, before we wrap up, what the W and the L of their journey is, with a cream and a cross. So can you let the people know, just so they understand the journey comes with its ups and downs. So can you let them know from your side?
I think the ups is Jesus.
Amazing.
See, my faith is a huge part of me. If I was not a Christian, I don't know what I would be. So that's one.
Yeah.
The lows can be low.
Yeah.
You know how you want to get to X by the time of Y, and then it never really happens. Like I said, I was a contractor. Do you know how many times I dodged getting sacked?
Wow.
Like I just escaped it and turned it into a resignation. So there will be those failures a part of your journey. Embrace them. But find your own tribe.
Yeah.
I think I found my tribe. I have my circle of fellow HR people that we sit down and I express my fears, my concern, and they're able to help me.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely what's helped me when it's down. But when it's up, it's been God, it's been my family, it's been my community. And quite frankly, I love my profession.
Amazing.
I do. I love
Amazing.
HR.
Amazing.
Did we get an L?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Let's put the
That's
L
the
in
W. What's the
there. What's
L?
the L?
What's the? It could be a lesson. It doesn't have to be a loss, but it could be a lesson. Whatever you think.
What's the lesson? Don't be afraid to dream.
Did you ever feel like there was a period where you were afraid periodically?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
When my visa was denied.
It's a big one, you know.
It's a big one, man.
It's a big one.
It wasn't just that my visa was denied. I was going to court and then my father died.
No. Sorry to hear.
Sorry to hear.
So that was like, if you want to kill a man, just bury him. Don't kill him. If you bury him, he will die. And how did I get through that? I think my faith played a big role. And now it was me against whatever the world was. And I had to get there. So I now had something to prove to myself. So I had here to prove to myself. And that's what got me through.
Amazing.
And it was God at the crux of it.
Amazing.
So that was my big lesson.
Thank you for sharing. I know that there's a lot of people that would have enjoyed this.
No, it was sick.
Got so many gems from it.
Thank you.
Let the people know where they can find you, because I know that you got a community as well.
Yes, I do.
And your socials, so let the people know.
So on my socials, Instagram is vivian.eni.official. Go on my website, vivianeni.com, and just click join V Nation. My newsletter is good.
Amazing.
You should join my newsletter because they get life lately. They get stuff from me. And if you want to be hearing about all the lessons I've learned in my career journey that is not in this book, then join me on LinkedIn, because I share that on a weekly basis. I'm constantly sharing all the lessons that I forgot to write in the book on LinkedIn every week.
That's been amazing. I've enjoyed it. Iman, you enjoyed it?
I loved it. Absolutely loved
I know you guys at home enjoyed it. Let us know which of these gems you felt the most in the comments. That's been us at the Bread and Butter Podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Yo, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me.